Programmers on the game. I work on programming the puzzles, but mainly focused on programming our final boss.
Hello everyone, my name is Joe Morris, and I'm one of the programmers on Corrupted Castle. I would consider myself a systems programmer, as I handled a lot of the complex systems, including the custom physics system for the player. I'm going to pass it off to my buddy here, Caleb.
Hello everyone, my name is Caleb Norman. I'm the third programmer on the team. The things I programmed mainly were the core mechanics, script stealing, where you take abilities from enemies, as well as programming the 3 enemy types. I also worked on things like sound design and helped program some of the puzzles.
Hello everyone, I'm Ali Almikeva, and I'm the lead level and puzzle designer, as well as 3D props artist.
Hello, I'm Tyler Weeding, and I'm the environment artist for Corrupted Castle. I work on post-processing, lighting, optimization, and modular assets.
Hello, my name is Bryson Jones. I am the lead artist on the Corrupted Castle. I work on the concept arts as an animator, modeler, rigger, and also the composer for the Corrupted Castle, and I hope you enjoy our trailer. As I said, I am Bryson Jones. I was the concept artist on the Corrupted Castle. As the concept artist, the project kind of started with me, so I had to come up with the look of the game, from the characters to the environment, and the character went through a lot of iterations. We didn't know whether we wanted to go more goofy style or more serious style. So that was a interesting problem to solve with the team. Eventually, I did come to a nice design where I took the helmet for one of the characters and put a cape onto it. And everyone really loved the design, so we had to go with that and taking it further in that direction. In other things that console artists do, environments, of course, and I went through a lot of passes in terms of trying to figure out how the environment would look, whether we're gonna have glitches everywhere or it's just gonna be a much more medieval piece. But no matter what I drew, it would not have come to life without Tyler's amazing work as an environmental artist.
Yeah, so as an environment artist, I work mainly on modular assets. So walls, pillars, floors, ceilings, pillars, all the architectural assets of the game. So my goal was to make as many assets possible, as many uses as possible. So working along with our level designers, I could figure out what sort of parts I would need, what ways I could innovate with parts I had, and different assets I could make to improve our style. Here's our pop artist.
Hello everyone, as I said, I'm the level designer and the prop artist, but starting with the level designer, our setting is the broken and forgotten castle. So my main job was to make the space fun to explore while also supporting everything that the player can do. Which means that our game is based on the ceiling elemental powers, the fire, lightning, and the water. So the levels had to support 3 things: combat, puzzles, and fast movement. And the main challenge in that was balancing everything, balancing the pacing. So balancing the pacing means that you have to include the rooms that are just combat, some of them have to be just for puzzles, and some of them mix of both. But at the same time, not to forget about some rest areas, so it doesn't feel too overwhelming for the player. And aside from the level design, I also work on the props. So working on that, I'm gonna pass it to the next person, to the Caleb, who worked on our rock, paper, scissors system.
Hello everyone, as I said before, my name is Caleb, and as Ali said, our core mechanic kind of revolves around a rock, paper, scissors system. This is actually, yes, we swapped the order of two of us. That's our bad. Sorry guys. Hey everyone, my name is Caleb Norman. So I worked on the core mechanic, which is script stealing. As stated before, it's kind of a rock, paper, scissors mechanic. So you've got fire enemies, water enemies, and electric enemies, with each one of those elements doing more damage to another one. These core mechanics, or these elements, are all used in combat to overcome certain enemy types, but they're also used in puzzles. I programmed all the systems related to script stealing, to those elemental abilities, as well as programming the enemies themselves. What I wanted to do when creating the enemies was I wanted to program things that felt like they were alive and felt like they each had their own personalities. They don't just walk at you and attack mindlessly. They adjust and behave differently depending on what the player is doing. And another thing that also mixes up combat is that when you take a script from an enemy, it dynamically changes because it no longer has that elemental power. So a light bulb enemy, which is normally using electricity-based attacks, might change to become a stealth enemy since the light bulb is now turned off. All of this comes together to make very fun combat or engaging combat that keeps the games interesting throughout the game. But that combat would not be fun if there was not a solid player controller to go with it.
Hey everyone, so again, my name is Joe Morris, and I created the player controller, and I also created a lot of complex systems to support my other developers on Corrupted Castle, as you can see there. But I am a programmer, so I'm not going to bore you with code. But like I said, I created a custom physics system, so Unity only handles the collisions for the player, but everything else as far as gravity and movement is handled completely by my own scripts. So it's also a lot more performant in engine. And I think the game runs a lot better for it. I also created a custom moving platform system, so my fellow developers don't have to worry about how exactly the platform needs to move and where the start and end positions are. They can just drag and drop it into the scene, and it works quite nicely. I didn't do that. That's Caleb's, once again. But of course, without an antagonist, I created the protagonist, but without an antagonist, then there would be no game. So I'm going to pass it off to Isaiah here, who programmed the boss.
Okay, hello everybody. So like Joe said, I was the lead programmer on our final boss. Mainly our story follows the character who's trapped in the game, and the developer wants to delete the game, maybe save some space, we really don't know. But yeah, so creating the final boss, we wanted him to seem kind of ominous, kind of controlling as he used a keyboard. It's really fun to design. Throughout the game, you're constantly doing puzzles, interacting with the enemies, taking their scripts, using it against them. So for the final boss, I kind of wanted all that to be meshed together, and came out like this. There isn't a lot of showing up there, but throughout the boss fight, you're using other scripts to fight the boss. It's a little secret, I'm gonna let you guys know now. If you use the right script, he gets a lot easier. If you don't, he is really annoying and hard, and you will die a lot, and it's not very fun.
He's almost unbeatable.
Really hard.
Yeah, we went through a lot of iterations, and he was very hard, and they wanted me to dial it back. I like hard bosses. Not everybody likes that, which is something I learned throughout this project, is not everyone plays the same, and I cater to everybody. Whether you are a keyboard pro, or you only use controller, or you're the best guy in this certain game in your town, they are all different, and everyone deserves to play the game, and at least, experience a win. So, yeah. Our booth is over there. If you need more guidance than that, just look for our big red capes. But yeah, thank you for listening to us talk about our game.